Marco,
Sean, what's going on?
pump up the bass.
Yeah, yeah, remind me of the 80s. Yeah,
That's good.
good
Uh,
time. Ace of Base, and that
Ace-
was more the nine. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm too
uh,
old to remember
I don't
dates
know where
anyway.
I don't know where you're going now. I think there's a lot of stuff we can look back on music and have fond memories and connect it to other things in our life and I don't know what's a song without bass.
Purple Rain with Rinse.
I have a
There you
feeling,
go.
John, that somebody already asked you that. You had it. You had it ready. You had it ready. This is a recurrent
The
joke.
famous example.
Uh,
I don't
so
think Sean wanted to go there. He was going to talk
no,
about
I
how
don't.
important the bass is and the
I think
backbone. But I love the
it is.
answer. I love the answer.
It is, and I love the answer too. And I mean, it's reality. But
Yeah.
no, where you're right, Marco. Where I was going with that is, of course, even though the bass player gets a lot of flack and not much love from the band usually, right? I was watching some stuff on Instagram where am I even part of the band? but,
You know,
but
there are some that stand out pretty nicely.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
you
And
know,
there's some, and I think perhaps some are even at the awards, bass awards ceremony in NAMM who stand out. There's some pretty good bands and bass players that basically the song is bass. So we're gonna get into a lot of that. Primus is one of the good examples there.
Yeah.
So here we are. This is a special episode of Music Evolves where we're also doing an event coverage of the NAMM Show 2026 in Anaheim. And I'm so excited to get back to the event. It's such a cool event, such cool people, and clearly Jon is representative of that. And Jon, your role at Bass Magazine, and maybe a quick word from you because you're hosting the Bass Mag Awards.
Yeah. So
So who's Jon? Tell us a little bit about yourself before we dig in.
yeah. So I'm Jon D'Auria. I'm the editor-in-chief of Bass Magazine. And we are a bass publication of everything low end. And we've been doing it for a long time. We were Bass Player Magazine before, and then kind of transitioned to Bass Magazine. And what's on our plate and what we're most excited about right now is the 2026 Bass Magazine Awards, which are happening on Thursday, January 22nd at the Observatory, which is just a quick little drive or from the NAMM campus. So we're all hands on deck right now for that.
I have to very quickly ask why, because I think I'm curious, and I think I know why, perhaps. Why the transition from player to a broader bass?
Well, yeah. So Bass Player Magazine was going for 30 years. Our senior editor, Chris Giese, was ultimately the first bass journalist ever, strictly bass journalist. Started there. And then, over the course of time, it changed hands through different, parent companies. And in 2018 into 2019, got purchased by a company out of the UK. And that was when we kind of branched off and just took it all online and digital and kept the staff, of all that span. Chris Giese, myself, Eldon Bradman, a lot of the writers and editors. And so we've been doing Bass Magazine since 2019.
Very cool. Yeah, and I was, because in my mind, I'm thinking certainly the player is at the core, right?
Yes.
Yep. But there's also technology, and that's kind of where I was thinking.
Yes.
Maybe there was also some transition that there's so much available to us now to make some really cool sounds. So let's start off with kind of your big picture presence at NAMM. What are some of the things you're doing there, leading there, hosting there? Maybe even some view into what you expect to see and hear personally.
Yeah, this is my 11th or 12th NAMM. And every year I've worn a lot of hats. And for a lot of years, it was covering everything. So I would have my SLR camera, my phone, my audio recorder, and I would be doing interviews, filming the new bass products, amps, basses, pedals, strings, effects, and interviewing the players. And it's it's a lot. It's all amazing. NAMM is like being in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. And, so it's a lot. Since Bass Magazine took form, it's just amazing. It's the one time a year we all get to be in a room together. Every call, every meeting we do, people are all over the country and the globe. You get to shake hands and give a hug and talk face to face and, feel the love of, especially in the bass world, there's a very communal sense. And being, with all the people just feels amazing. This year we have a creator studio in the creator suites, where we're going to be just bringing in artists and gear company folks and rolling out content just constantly. And so it's a lot of coverage with that. And really it's also just checking all the boxes of trying to see as many people as possible, give those hugs, catch up, about what's coming out in 2026 and, experiencing all of that. So.
Well, I want to go into something that about the community. I mean, Sean and I, of course, we cover a lot of events from, cybersecurity to technology. And of course, this mixed technology and something that is our passion, which is music, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. And you mentioned, of course, the beauty of getting together. That's the theme. The community is the theme of every event. Why do we go to San Francisco, to Las Vegas, to LA? That's what it is. But the community exists also, now with social media. I mean, I don't know because I listen way too many video of people playing guitar and bass, but looks like everybody on TikTok is playing bass nowadays. So yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how this thing has changed a little bit, running a traditional magazine for the longest time. How did you guys integrate it with, having a presence and what's going on the online community as well?
Yeah. I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall back in starting in like 2016, even, that print was slowing down and I love print. I love having a tangible object in my hands. You read every page. The advertisements matter when it's print because,
Yep.
And for so long, Bass Player was the only resource for bass players. And so a lot of the artists would just, love to be in there. I remember, Chris talks about in the late 80s when he started interviewing bass players, they would get tears and say, "Thank you. Nobody ever talks to us. We don't really have a voice, and you're giving us a voice."
Talking about the stereotype.
Exactly. Stereotype. Yeah. And so, coming into the digital age and then coming into 2019, when we started this, we did analysis of print and what that would look like, the costs, the cost benefit. And we were just like, we can reach so many more people via online and it can be instant. It's not static. It's we can go through and change and edit on the fly. And really it's about timeliness. If there's an announcement made in the bass world, a new album, a tour, we get it out instantly. If unfortunately a beloved player passes, we can send out, instantly and send, all the love and all of that. And then really we formed, 2019, 2020, COVID hits, and that changed the landscape of everything because all of us, including the three of us, were in our living rooms all day, every day on our, screens. And that was a really big transition point for us because we were like, let's get as much content out to everyone. We weren't even looking at as profitable because honestly, at that time, every company had to scale back everything so much, but we were like, let's entertain these people. So, we even did an interview series, the lockdown interviews. And we did 228 of them with the most iconic bass players of all time to up and comers. And every day we would put out 2 of them talking about how they were coping with COVID, what they were working on, all of that. And so that really showed us like, okay, online is the platform. It's everybody's constantly staring at their phones and everything. And Marco, it does also allow more capability of when we're talking about something, here's the video link right under it, click it.
Yeah.
Or if we're talking about
multimedia.
absolutely. If here's the product, click on it. You want to buy it? We're going to make it easy on you. So everything at your fingertips really is quite the benefit. And, in any industry, you either evolve with it or die out. So we're just constantly trying to stay on top of what's present and what's coming.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is when I think about, my podcast is about the hybrid world of technology and society, and that we leave the analog and the digital life. That doesn't cut the magazine. There's still love for the print, right? There's love for the digital music. There is love for the vinyl, and damn, if they bring back the cassette, I'm gonna buy those.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And everything is seemingly, digital now. You go to a jazz performance, you'll see instead of the sheet music, in charts, you'll see everyone has an iPad and they have the foot switch pages. Everything is recorded in real time. Everything is just instant now, and it's something we take for granted a lot. Ask anyone during the holidays who was waiting on an Amazon package that wasn't delivered in 24 hours. We need, we're so, enslaved to instant gratification now. So, yeah.
And speaking of that, it's all, and I'm going to kind of bring it back to the technology a bit. And I was going back and forth with a buddy of mine on LinkedIn on this.
Mm-hmm.
I look back at 12 of these episodes and kind of said that the human element is still the core of music.
Yes.
And the technology is there to support us creating, support us producing, support us performing, support us listening, all that stuff. And then my buddy Scott says, yeah, but if you don't innovate as a company, you're going to get left behind and become a dinosaur and die off.
Yes.
And I don't know, I have different feelings from that because I'm in technology, and I feel that there's a lot of organizations that innovate just for the sake of innovating.
Yes.
I can think of products from last year. I'm like, why does that even exist? Well, I won't name them to embarrass them.
Exactly.
And then also I remember from last year, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pedals.
Yes.
I'm like, how many pedals can we use? And then also the innovation of the AI driven pedal where you only need the one and you can tune any sound you want, presumably.
Yes.
So your thoughts on innovation, the sake of innovating or innovating for the sake of innovation and its role in kind of the base.
Yeah. And I'm with you, Sean, to where there some products come out and I get the press release and talk to the company about it. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Why? Like certain things, like you said, people will create it for the sake of creating it. The biggest topic is AI right now. And you spoke on the human nature and the heart of creation and art and music. And that's the craziest thing to observe and follow. For years, a few years now, we've been monitoring it closely. And the wildest thing is the rate in which it advances, And I remember a few years ago hearing AI stuff online and be like, yeah, you can tell that's AI. And nowadays you can get a phone app and, the three of us right now could sit and in 30 seconds give prompts that within a couple minutes will generate an amazing song in its own right. Yeah, it's a very volatile thing for artists and very touchy subject. We're even seeing now some artists, are really taking a stand against AI because it's taking jobs from people who score movies and sound designers and even just artists who make a living from songwriting. And it's yeah, it's very interesting talking about it in this exact moment in time because it's still so budding and it's still we're on the first wave of it, in a sense, and it's evolving by the minute. By the time we finish this podcast, it'll have evolved, a lot.
Exactly.
So it's
Are there
very,
areas in the bass world that have transformed from a tech perspective that maybe people don't realize? Is there something new with the bass guitar or some of the other equipment that
I
we're
mean, that's a good question. A lot of it is the pedals and effects that you spoke of.
Mhm.
Being able to have a little box that can model any amp sound you want. That, a lot of it is physical innovation. Amps, I'm sitting in front of an 8x10 and some a very heavy combo that my back doesn't like to look at even. And nowadays you can get these big powerful amps that weigh almost nothing. So, the physical things for the gigging musicians, companies always have to look at what will help them on a night to night basis. You're Ubering across town to get to a gig. You want a compact amp that sounds big. You want a case that protects your stuff. If you use pedals, you want compact and minimal. And that's really what companies are doing. Also, kind of on the other side of the coin, the biggest thing with innovation and everything is visibility. And that largely comes through social media. If I were to open my phone right now and hold it up, it's going to be an infinite feed of bassists performing, playing. It's mainly people in their bedrooms and living rooms, whittling and all of that. And that has changed so much in the world of music and especially in the world of bass. On a very psychological level, it can be very beneficial for getting known and furthering your career, but also there is a large detriment to posting your best 60 seconds online versus getting gigs, so that's also another big part of tech in the world of bass.
Well, there's the monetization as well that it's
Yes.
changed the system, right? I mean, you hear all these stories. I'd love to look back and how Oasis got the first gig, and
Yep.
or my wife brought me around to see Oasis this year, so that's why I'm thinking about it.
Right.
But also, the time that you were doing gigs for free and you were doing gigs for a beer, kind of the Blues Brothers, and then you had to pay extra for it.
Yes.
But now there is a way, and I think it's a positive thing to monetize from what you do online. I
It
think it's
is.
bringing more people to play bass. I don't know. I see a lot of bass players, then a lot of girls that are getting on the bass and and drums. I mean, I've never seen so many people play drums. Sean, you play drums. So
Absolutely.
we always need to balance, and I am never gonna be on the extreme. Yay, it's
Mhm.
great, or no, it sucks. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's the good and the bad, right?
I echo that so much, Marco, because when something like AI, you don't want to be the old man on yelling off my lawn with tech advancement. When it's so permanent and large that you realize it's here to stay, like Sean, you were saying you evolve or die, you have to figure out how does this play into what we do and how do we embrace it to the extent that we're comfortable and what's beneficial to us to embrace it. And yeah, so it's a love hate for sure. I'm
Yeah.
a journalist first and foremost. That's a big part to me is making sure that everything that ever comes out of Bass Magazine is always written by a human. Interviews are conducted, business as usual, the same way it was in 1987. Minus Zoom and recording software and such. But yeah, so you kind of have to embrace it and you can't hate it too much or it's
No,
just a losing battle.
like everything, like everything. Tell us a little bit about the award that you're gonna have there, and also as we're talking about this, what are the criteria that make you decide who to give the award with to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the history of the awards as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
absolutely. So with Bass Player Magazine, we had Bass Player Live. We did that for about 20 years, where it was mainly a bass convention. It was like, exhibitors, all the companies would bring their stuff. It was a NAMM for just bass. It would happen in Los Angeles. We had it in New York a number of years and then back to Los Angeles. And we would give awards, Lifetime Achievement Awards there. In the transition to Bass Magazine, that was always something we were like, we want to bring the awards back. And so last year was at our first annual Bass Magazine Awards. It took 2 years to plan, and it's a very small crew that plans it. It's myself, Ben Hyman, Mark Najjar, Chris GC, and then we have a wonderful production team, Donnie Emmerich and Jack Trifio. It really just, last year we did it at the Observatory in Santa Ana, California, where it is this year. And we gave Lifetime Achievement Awards to Sting, Justin Chancellor of Tool, bass legend John Patitucci. And we gave Future of Bass Awards to Mono Neon and Mohini Day. It was a remarkable night. We had Tool perform to a 1,000-person venue. The first time they'd played a show of that size since like 1989 or so. John Patitucci performed, Mono Neon performed with Les Claypool. It was star-studded. The backstage was just like a hall of fame of up-and-coming and iconic bass players. And so we're doing, obviously, this is the second iteration of that. And this year, the Lifetime Achievement Awards are Mike Dirnt of Green Day, Les Claypool of Primus, Marcus Miller, who's just a legend, not only as a bass player, yes, but as a musician, Laura Lee of Krungbin, and Blue to Tigers. So it's going to be amazing. All those artists are going to perform with special guests, and we have solo performers also playing in between the awards. And so it's going to be just a night of bass and music magic. So
cool. I'm
and the
excited
criteria,
to-
and I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead, John.
And I was going to say, Marco, the criteria really is, we have a long list of players who are worthy, of a very long list. And each year we just kind of look at, we want to balance it out, a bit. This is only the second year, a lot of years to come, obviously. It's about what that player's impact is to the instrument. It is to an extent about technical ability, but then at the same time, it's about how did they take the bass guitar and propel it and thrust it and influence others to pick it up and play it. There's no one on the list that didn't inspire a ton of players to go pick up a bass for the first time. And additionally, it's about who's a steward to bass, almost in the abstract of like who embodies bass and who deserves to be, kind of immortalized through our process as just one of the greatest to do it. And also on the Future of Bass side, like who is blazing that trail of where it's going. So that's the requisite. We get in a room and we hash it out. And it's always very difficult. Hard to exclude people who are absolutely worthy, but there's many years to come, like I said. So stay tuned for who's next year and all the years following.
Yeah. I just want to give me a top 10 to my Claude AI.
Mhm.
And it's, I'm like, all of this. Some are not with us anymore, but, John Paul Jones, Geddy Lee,
Yep.
Flea, Cliff Barton, Geezer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people don't think about it, but these are like, you don't think about the basses, you think about the lead guitar usually.
Right.
But,
Yes.
Duff is there, Slash is there too, of course,
Absolutely. And it's everyone you named is on our list. Some of them we honored already through Bass Player, but we'll honor them, through this
Yeah.
new format. And bass is a different, all the done over 450 interviews. Bass players are wired differently than the lead singer or lead guitarist. We don't need the spot. It's a very supportive responsibility instrument. There's a lot who can shine through it. But it's a different breed of people. So it's also important for us to put a spotlight on them and honor them when they not get all the attention and credit they deserve.
Let me ask you this, since you mentioned how many people you've had a chat with.
Mhm.
Is there a story or someone that that stands out that you want to recount to?
Man, there's so
Well, that's
many.
a tough question. A tough question, but
No, that's a good question. Um, I think anytime I can talk to my heroes, which is a lot, um, Colin Greenwood of Radiohead, Justin Chancellor of Tool. I've been lucky enough to talk with a lot of the greats, whether it's Lemmy Kilmister or Gene Simmons. Just really iconic people who are household names. It's yeah, man. It's hard to I get asked this sometimes, and it's always hard to pinpoint one or two. In-person ones are a lot more, personal and memorable, but all of them have been impactful in different ways. Um, and yeah, I was thinking about that. I've made my way through my bucket list, so I've kind of been long enough in 20 years to kind of cover everyone. So now it's kind of like who is coming up that's going to be the next ones that are
yeah,
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
bucket
Yeah.
list. So
that's cool. And let me ask it slightly different way. In terms of brands, not the people. Well, people could be brands too, but brands in terms of the actual gear. Anything that stands out for you there?
I mean, I feel lucky getting to work with the all the brands, but the big one, Fender is the, household. It's the standard. It has been since they're about to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the P bass, which is the lifeblood of the bass world. Just getting to kind of be inside that and talk with their team and crew and getting insider information. It's always special, having a relationship with the Fenders, the Ampegs, the Yamahas, other companies, even having relationships with the Reverbs and Sweetwaters and Ashdown and all these, companies that have long storied histories, and it's the gear that the heroes play. And so when you talk to them, they get to tell you stories and get to, when they were doing the big Black Sabbath send-off final show, Ozzy Osbourne's last public appearance and stuff. It was cool working with Ashdown. They were building Geezer Butler's amp for that performance, and we got to go kind of behind the scenes with them and then see it, at the show being played. So that, there's a lot of pinch me moment kind of stuff, and it can be dorked out on the gear side just as much as it is talking to a hero, so
Yeah. Can I ask you this? Because I always like to look at the past, right? I just talked to people with a CES,
Yep.
over 100 years of that event. Actually, the IEEE with the electronic engineers, again, another 120 years.
Yep.
Or event that's been going around forever. And NAMM, we talked to Jon.
25, yeah.
Exactly. We talked to Jon. We know this is a big time, big year, this one, but they all are.
Yes.
Look back a little bit and then look forward. And, we don't have an hour, so just do it quickly. Like where have you seen this industry, major milestone changes maybe as you've been following for a long time? And where do you think it's going to go? And don't tell me AI. I don't want to hear AI.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I mean, like from the playing standpoint and that kind of thing, or
from the instrument and maybe more the tech than the play itself, the tech and maybe the event itself and what you guys done as a magazine. Like, okay, these were like important times,
right? I think you could go back historically, and like I mentioned a minute ago, 1951, the Leo Fender putting out the Fender P bass, and that. All the upright players were like, wow, I can carry this little thing, and make my money, and play my music. Innovations like that, it transitioned into Class D amps and heads. Marco from Mark Bass was one of the big innovators on that, where amps could get smaller and more compact and lighter. That really changed the game. Like we talked about, the internet changed everything. You're seeing now people and massive gigs, like Primus, who's with the award show, landed their drummer through an online contest, those innovations are huge. Recording, it's, we could talk 10 episodes about how before you would go into the studio on analog tape and have one take. All the jazz and blues and singer-songwriter early recordings we have are one take. So you had to be a bad mofo to hit that stuff, note down and all that. And now, a kid in Nebraska can get a laptop and get a little interface, and they can do everything. They can be their own record label, their own, recording studio, YouTube, being able to learn the instrument. Back then we just had songbooks and tabs, and now you go on, you enter any song and you have 20 lovely people being like, I'm going to show you how to play this step by step. Those are all huge innovations. For us on our front and what we do moving forward, kind of based on those innovations, the biggest thing that I look at in the nature of what we want to be doing is making the access from the artists that you love and adore, bridging that gap and bringing them right to the reader. And that's very tangible and possible nowadays. It's the first time in history you can go on social media and comment on your favorite artist post or message them or email them and potentially get a response pretty quickly. Before you'd have to write fan letter to their, find all that kind of stuff. So, that world is shrinking. And what we try to do with, events like the Bass Magazine Awards, NAMM is a huge catalyst of this, of bringing the artist directly to you, getting to shake their hand, have them sign something. But using technology, we love hosting artists and letting, our audience ask questions or participate or, to us, it's all about community and feeling like you have a purpose and you're part of this and everybody's welcome. And it's really just harvesting and cultivating that moving forward for us, taking things that have potentially a negative connotation, like, the backlash of social media or the egos that come along with social media, and trying to steer it in a positive and loving direction of we're all a community here. This is, will help bring all this to you. So.
Two things I'll take from that. And the first is the community aspect and kind of to your point, NAMM does a phenomenal job of making that possible. And you do that for the bass community as well. And the other thing is, and I say this often on the show, I mean, music is life.
Yes.
It makes us feel, it makes us think differently. For those who have the fortune of being able to create it, I think for me, it does something for me that I can't get anywhere else, creativity wise. And so music is life for me, and I think for a lot of people. And the more we can do to continue to promote music creation and creators and inspire them and enable them with or without technology, I think the better off we are as a society. And if we can bring communities together, especially at the Bass Awards, I think that's super cool. And I'm gonna wrap with this, and unless there's something else you wanted to add.
Yeah. Just, ultimately, January 22nd, the Bass Magazine Awards are at the Observatory in Santa Ana. It's going to be a star-studded night. Tickets are still available as of now. And, of course, I have to thank so much NAMM and the whole organization, and Malinzak and Jon D'Auria, and those who make it happen. The NAMM is the lifeblood, a strong lifeblood of the music world, and is kind of the cornerstone of so much for us, especially coming together as a community. And, and they're really such a mile marker. People look to NAMM. After COVID, people looked to NAMM and said, what does it look like now? What does the industry look like now? And NAMM responded and said, we're moving forward and this is what it looks like. And we all followed and fell in suit. So, I owe so much to NAMM, and music as a whole owes so much to NAMM, and the community certainly does as well. So anyone who's going to be out at the NAMM show, excited to see you there. And if not, we will be covering it frivolously through Bass Magazine. So,
yeah. All right. Well, John, it's fantastic chatting with you. And a shout out to Megan Bakari as well, who does a phenomenal job bringing people together like you and us here today. And so I was going to do the shout out for you, but I'll
Oh,
repeat. Thursday, January the 22nd at the Observatory, part of the broader NAMM, which is January 20th through the 24th at the Anaheim Convention Center in SoCal. I'm excited to leave the cold of New York and get back to LA and head down south and to enjoy all the festivities with music, and to see you, John. And Marco, I think you're going to be there as well.
Yeah, I am not even going to fly from New York. I'm
I know.
already in LA. So
You're already there.
I'm just going to drive down.
well, lovely. Well, I look forward to seeing both of you there, and nothing
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to everything there. And most of all, as you said, we're looking forward to the networking and the connection and the community. And that's why we go to this event. I mean, this is cool, but when we're
Yes.
going to see you in person, it's going to
Ah.
be much cooler, right?
So much
Yeah.
cooler.
a much cooler person, just
Yep.
an average,
Cool. All right.
You'll be
Sean,
disappointed. Marco's not as cool in person.
I know. I'm way cooler in this because it's all
virtual.
AI generated. So I don't even look like this.
We could FaceTime there in person.
There we go.
All right. I'll call you from the backstage.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, thank
Well,
you
John,
both.
fantastic chatting with you, and congratulations on your continued success, and looking forward to the second annual awards ceremony and to participate there. And of course, everybody listening and watching this Music Evolves special event coverage of NAMM Show 2026. Appreciate you joining us here. Stay tuned for more. There's going to be a lot coming from the week in NAMM, and obviously, I'm continuing to invest in the show and exploring the world of technology and music and its impact on humanity and society and everything we do. So thanks, everybody.
Take care.